I never expected a frog to change my life. Standing on that riverbank, I watched it leap from stone to stone without hesitation. No second guessing. No worry about failing. Just pure, confident action. My mind raced with thoughts of my presentation the next day. The one I'd been dreading for weeks. The one keeping me awake at night. 20 senior executives would judge my ideas and by extension, me. The frog didn't care who watched it jump. This simple observation hit me with unexpected force. At 32 years old, with a decent job and apartment, I still lived in constant fear of judgment. My decisions, my words, even my clothing all filtered through the imagined opinions of others. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. That day by the river, I realized I'd created an elaborate prison of anticipated criticism that didn't actually exist. The truth is, most people are too caught up in their own worlds to scrutinize yours. The frog taught me this without saying a word. You might recognize this feeling. The constant worry about what others think creates an exhausting mental burden. We perform rather than live. We present curated versions of ourselves, hoping for approval. Each day becomes an audition instead of an experience. Think about the last time you held back a genuine thought or desire because you feared judgment. The vacation you didn't take. The career you didn't pursue. The words you didn't speak. The authentic self you kept hidden. My own breakthrough came through what psychologists call cognitive diffusion, separating ourselves from our thoughts. The frog wasn't fused with anxious thinking. It simply acted according to its nature. After my riverside epiphany, I conducted an experiment. For 1 week, I would act more like the frog. Not literally jumping into ponds, but approaching life with less self-consciousness. I would speak my mind in meetings without rehearsing perfectly crafted responses. I would make decisions based on my true preferences rather than anticipated approval. The results shocked me. My presentation to those executives? I delivered it with unexpected calm. Not perfect, but authentic. 3 people approached me afterward with genuine interest in my ideas. One became a mentor who later opened doors I never knew existed. The ancient Stoics understood this principle well. Epictetus taught that we suffer not from events but from our judgments about them. My suffering came not from others' opinions but from my anticipation of them. This pattern appears everywhere once you start looking. People forfeit their authentic voices to gain approval. They postpone happiness for someday when they'll finally be good enough to deserve it. They exhaust themselves trying to control how others perceive them. What freedom awaits on the other side of this fear? After my Frog Week experiment, I expanded it to a month. I spoke more honestly. I pursued interests without explaining them. I stopped tracking social media likes. I wore clothes I enjoyed regardless of trends. Small steps led to bigger ones. I eventually left a prestigious but so crushing job for work I found meaningful. I ended a relationship maintained mostly for appearances. I reconnected with old friends I'd neglected while climbing the professional ladder. The psychologist Alfred Adler described the courage to be disliked as essential to freedom. When we need everyone's approval, we become prisoners to their preferences. The frog lived without this prison. Your own fear of judgment might manifest differently than mine. Perhaps you stay in an unfulfilling career because it impresses others. Maybe you suppress certain personality traits to fit expectations. You might spend money on status symbols you don't value or avoid activities you love because they aren't cool enough. Some fear is natural and healthy. Social connection matters for human survival. But there's a crucial difference between respectful consideration of others and surrendering your authenticity for approval. The middle path looks like this. Make choices aligned with your values. Consider others' perspectives but don't be ruled by them. Accept that some people won't approve of you, and that's okay. Understand that most judgments people make have nothing to do with you and everything to do with their own fears and insecurities. Brené Brown's research shows that vulnerability, being seen for who you really are, creates deeper connections than perfectionism ever could. The authentic self, flawed and real, forms stronger bonds than any polished performance. My frog didn't try to be a better frog. It simply was one. The change wasn't instant. I still catch myself performing instead of living. Old habits return in stressful moments. But now I recognize when I'm doing it. I can pause and ask, am I making this choice for me or for the approval of others? This question creates space between stimulus and response, what Viktor Frankl called the last of human freedoms. In that space lies choice, and in that choice, freedom. Here's what fascinates me most. When I stopped caring so intensely about judgment, people responded more positively to me. Authenticity has a magnetic quality that perfectionism lacks. We connect with real humans, not polished personas. The frog faced real dangerous predators, environmental threats. It didn't waste energy on imagined ones. Neither should we. What would change if you lived with just 10% less concern about judgment? If you spoke more honestly, pursued more authentic interests, or made decisions based on your true values rather than anticipated approval? You might lose certain fair-weather connections. Some people prefer the performance to the person. But you'll gain something more valuable, the freedom to be yourself and attract people who appreciate that self. The riverbank where I watched that frog is now a special place for me. I return there on difficult days when the old fears creep back. The frogs keep jumping, unconcerned with my analysis of their technique or the metaphorical significance I've assigned to their actions. They simply live according to their nature. And in their small, unknowing way, they remind me to do the same.